New questions tonight about California National Guard troops and the president's plan to boost border security.
I do not think it's for any kind of generosity towards the immigrant community. I think it's strictly to put a wedge between all of us.
Taking a stand against California's sanctuary state law, the political leaders demanding support from San Diego County. The rain and wind could not slow down Boston Marathon runners. We'll hear from the winner from Chula Vista. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebone Monet. Plans to call up the California National Guard may have stalled. Despite praise from the president, the Pentagon says the two sides haven't reached an agreement. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh has the story.
It was a rare, if fleeting, moment of agreement between California and the Trump administration. Last week, Governor Brown laid out a series of conditions to call up 400 troops as part of a multi-state effort. At the time, President Trump praised the governor on Twitter, but sources at the Pentagon told reporters that talks have stalled regarding how those troops will be used. Brown wants to bolster current Guard missions to fight drugs and terrorism. In the three other border states, the troops are deployed along the border in supporting roles for custom and immigration enforcement. Joshua Wilson, spokesman for the union representing Border Patrol agents in San Diego, says planning is underway to find support roles like surveillance and vehicle maintenance.
There's been reviews of which positions that are currently occupied by patrol agents could be occupied by a guardsman.
A California Guard spokesman says they're still waiting for formal response from the Pentagon. Trump is the third president in a row to ask California to send troops to the border. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
People in San Diego are divided over the Trump administration's lawsuit against the state of California for its new sanctuary law. KPBS Frontiers reporter Jean Guerrero tells us amid rallies in favor of the law, today North County officials urged the Board of Supervisors to join the lawsuit against it.
Officials met here in Kearny Mesa, saying they stand against the California Values Act.
They say the County Board of Supervisors should join the federal lawsuit against California. Former San Diego City Councilman Carl DeMaio says sanctuary law hurts public safety by limiting cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration officials.
Sanctuary state and sanctuary city policies are about providing benefit to only one group: hardened criminals.
The sanctuary law does not limit cooperation with federal immigration for the most serious offenses, such as felonies and violent crimes. But Escondido Mayor Sam Abed says the sanctuary law has forced federal immigration officials out of the local jail, where they were working with police, and into the community.
The 8 ICE agents are no longer cooperating with our police. They are in our neighborhood, picking up dreamers, picking up immigrants with no criminal record, and separating families. Wake up, Sacramento, and have the moral courage to say this is not good for the immigrants.
The speakers brought up Ingrid Lake. She says an immigrant who was here illegally injured her son in a car crash. She says the immigrant was only charged with a misdemeanor, so if he were arrested again, police wouldn't necessarily hand him over for deportation.
The sanctuary state law in its current form would shield him from being turned over to immigration officials.
Supporters of the law say it makes communities safer by encouraging immigrants to report crimes. Before the sanctuary law, more immigrants feared coming into contact with police. Rallies urging the supervisors not to join the Trump lawsuit were also held across the county.
Please do not side with the Trump administration's policies that have been threatening not just our Constitution, but our democracy.
The lawsuit against the state of California challenges the constitutionality of the sanctuary law. From Kearny Mesa, Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
From learning about the political process to being part of it, students at 2 San Diego schools will host a forum tomorrow for candidates in the 49th Congressional District. KPBS education reporter Megan Burks got a look at the preparations.
Students in Preston Peden's Theories of Social Change class took Friday to catch up on the week's political news. They need to know the latest to craft relevant questions for the forum to be held at Pacific Ridge School.
So you can look up what are their recent statements, what are their party platforms, what are their beliefs, what are their hopes.
Pacific Ridge Junior Rebecca Shields has been following the Me Too movement and hopes to include questions on gender inequality and sexual assault. Also on the agenda are gun legislation, the economy, immigration, and the environment.
I felt that that was really a way to grow for me, because it was not just thinking about what I personally feel is important, but going beyond to try and consider the voices of the entire demographics of everyone in our district.
The students say they're energized by the youth movement that's grown from the school shooting in Parkland, Florida. They've realized they have a right to hold elected officials accountable, even if they can't vote.
You hear a lot that the youth aren't interested in voting or interested in politics, and I think that, the more that we speak out and advocate, then the more that we can change that opinion. La
Jolla Country Day School is co-hosting the event. Teacher Jonathan Schulman says the students coming of age during the Trump presidency are especially poised to change that opinion.
The benefit of so much of the, I think, political conflict of the last couple of years is that the students have stepped up and realized this is something they need to get involved in, and this is something where they have a voice, and that voice counts. 7 of the 16 candidates have confirmed they're attending the forum. Voice of San Diego editor and CEO Scott Lewis will moderate, but
this is their voice, their hopes, and their questions, and it's going to be awesome to see.
Megan Burks, KPBS News.
Republicans in Congress are calling for mandatory worker job training for those who receive federal food aid. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman talked with a local advocacy group that says the changes would hurt San Diegans.
The San Diego Hunger Coalition has been working with the county to identify the impact of the proposed regulations.
Right now, estimates are somewhere around 25,000 San Diegans would need to meet work requirements or be kicked off of the program.
In total, over 260,000 San Diegans receive the assistance, which is distributed through electronic benefit transfer cards. Also known as EBT, many local stores accept the food benefits known in California as CalFresh. A proposed change to the benefits calls for able-bodied people ages 18 to 59 to work 20 hours a week or go through job training. The Hunger Coalition says the federal program known as SNAP was created to help people access basic food resources, not create job training programs.
We don't believe that SNAP is a place to do that. If Congress truly believed in improving workforce development, they would invest in programs that already exist that have proven track records for improving employability.
The proposed work requirements would not go in effect until 2021. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
People who lost homes in recent wildfires and mudslides will get help as they rebuild. An executive order from Governor Jerry Brown suspends all state regulations involving mobile and manufactured homes. The order will last for 3 months. Some zoning laws will also be waived for those who are rebuilding. Governor Brown is also bringing his message on climate change to Canada. Brown met with his counterparts in Toronto, where he was recognized by the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. He told the audience he views President Trump's efforts to reverse course on climate change policy as a temporary setback. Tomorrow, the San Diego City Council will consider changing rules to make it easier to spruce up vacant neighborhood spots. KPBS reporter Claire Tragesser says this all started after a group in Encanto was forced to scale back its makeover project.
The Urban Collaborative Project gave this spot at the intersection of Euclid and Imperial Avenues a makeover. They added places for people to sit and planters to make the area into a gathering place. But they didn't have the required permits and they had to take them down. So city staff began rewriting the rules to streamline the permitting process for similar projects. The new rules would allow one permit to cover everything and include money for grants and loans to cover permit fees. Barry Pollard, the head of the Urban Collaborative Project, says it's a step in the right direction, but he wishes the rules went further.
Since we're talking about this being a community-based effort to make community-based gathering places, then it would make sense to me to make that goal affordable for every community, not just some communities.
He would like to see a sliding scale for permitting fees to cut costs for nonprofits with smaller budgets. Claire Tragesser, KPBS News.
A nonprofit coffee cart in City Heights aims to help the community grow through its employment and mentoring program. KPBS reporter Taryn Minto says now a mobile Java spot that first opened in an alley is also growing.
A little bench right here. We want to make this space look super cozy and welcoming.
Sterling Tran shares her future plans for the new home of the City Heights Coffee House. The nonprofit focuses on hiring and mentoring youth, immigrants, and others who face employment barriers. Co-founder Tran says the move to University Avenue is an exciting expansion from its alley location because the bigger space means adding to its team of 3 employees.
We are really operating to try and be a sustainable business. So as of now, we're going to start off with 5 employees. And then hopefully as the business grows, we'll be able to employ more people from 8 to 10.
Tran says the new location also helps the nonprofit build a stronger connection to the neighborhood.
Now we have the opportunity to meet other businesses, and that's something that is super exciting to me, not only connecting the people that live here, but also the businesses that operate here.
The owner of the neighboring Chinese herb shop, Esther Vaughn, welcomed Tran with a hug. She says she's excited the coffee spot could bring increased foot traffic near her store.
Make a area, it's more people.
Yeah.
Tran says pending an inspection, the cart will still sell coffee from inside the storefront, while the interior is under redesign. She says she's working with community members to include colors, patterns, and other elements that reflect the cultural diversity of the area. She says she hopes to hire skilled residents to create handmade pieces for the space. Taryn Minto, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the president trades barbed with the former FBI director following an interview that targets the commander-in-chief. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
For the first time in 33 years, an American woman has won the Boston Marathon, and it's a woman who calls Chula Vista home. Des Linden crossed the finish line in just under 2 hours and 40 minutes. And the last time an American woman won the Boston Marathon was 1985. Linden came close a few years ago with a second-place finish in 2011.
Okay, how does it feel to finally be in the winner's circle?
I don't have the right words. I'm thrilled. It's supposed to be hard, and I just want to thank John Hancock and the BAA for giving me the chance year after year and believing in me sometimes when I didn't believe in myself, and it's good to get it done.
Des Linden graduated from Chula Vista's Hilltop High in 2001. She has also competed in 2 Olympic Games. Well, it's going to be mostly sunny this week, but there's a chance of rain on Thursday. Erin Calandra has details in tonight's forecast.
I'm sure you noticed the drop in temperatures. That's because we had a cold front move through and it was awfully gusty. In fact, here we are in the mountains, also in the desert. It's really just the interior areas. We have a high wind warning. If you're driving across those regions, be careful. Both hands on the steering wheel because wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour. Here we are taking a look at the satellite and radar. Spotty, very spotty showers in places. Mostly everyone here in the county is staying dry. There is some precipitation to the north of us, like Fresno, Bakersfield, for example, and everyone around here needs the rain, so that is a good thing. It's just not really going to reach us. 55 degrees tonight, partly cloudy, and it's still going to be windy again in those interior areas. Along the coast, not so much. In Oceanside, we're reaching 40 degrees tonight. Chula Vista, 52. Ramona, around 39, and in Borrego Springs, 49 degrees. Now, Tuesday, it's going to be chillier behind the front. Now, temperatures are warm, so when I say chillier, I mean really just back to normal. But when it has been so warm the last couple of days, you'll certainly feel a change in the temperatures. San Diego, 67. That's really right around average. In Poway, 70, Alpine, 68, and Mount Laguna at 52 degrees. Everyone will have sunshine, and that sun is nice and warm. Wednesday in the coast, 69 degrees. By Thursday, could see a possible shower with another front that is moving through. It will be light and spotty, so most people staying dry. Friday, a bit warmer and sunny. By Saturday, we're at 75. In the interior areas, again, could see a spotty shower Thursday. The coolest day of the week at 64 degrees. And then for the weekend, look at that. We warm up to 83 degrees on Saturday. In the mountains, it's steadily getting chillier through Thursday, where we could see a shower in the morning. 45 degrees our low, down around 30. So a chilly night. Friday, we rebound to the 60s with some sunshine, and in the deserts, we dip down to 71 on Thursday. Should stay dry, though, and then we jump right back up to the 90s for the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra. Ebony, back to you.
A small newspaper in Santa Rosa has won the Pulitzer Prize for its coverage of last October's wildfires. The Press Democrat was announced as the winner in the breaking news category during a ceremony today in New York. The Arizona Republic and USA Today won for its collaboration on a border wall series. And for the first time, a rap artist won the music category.
And last, but certainly not least, for music. The prize is awarded to Damn by Kendrick Lamar, a virtuosic song collection unified by its vernacular authenticity and rhythmic dynamism that offers affecting vignettes capturing the complexity of modern African American life.
Other Pulitzer winners announced today include the New York Times and New Yorker for coverage of the Harvey Weinstein sexual harassment case that led to the Me Too movement. During the height of World War II, Japanese Americans endured tragic conditions while being forced by the U.S. government to live inside internment camps. While imprisoned, Japanese Americans utilized the power of art to survive. Here's a story from Houston Public Media on an exhibit that's showcasing this artwork.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
It's a part of American history that's a very dark chapter. During the war, 120,000 Japanese Americans were put into the camps, forcibly removed from their homes on the west coast of the United States, put into 10 different internment camps in the interior U.S. My late father and his family were a farming family in the central coast of California, and they were forcibly removed from their home, and they had to leave their home with one suitcase each.
I was 13 and a half months old. My mother was pregnant with my younger brother then, too. So I can see why they were very, maybe not scared, but anxious about where they were going. They had like 7 days to get everything together to go. Mom being pregnant, of course, stacked up on diapers because we could only take what you could carry.
My name is Delphine Hirasuna, and I am the author and curator of a book and show that is called The Art of Gaman, Arts and Crafts of the Japanese American Internment Camps, 1942 to 1946. Gaman, when I was growing up, that was the word that every adult said. If I said, I don't like school, I don't want to go, it was like you just have to go gaman and just go anyway. When you talk to people, it occurred to me that everybody said the same word, gaman. I think that when they initially got to camp, I don't think they were thinking of making arts and crafts. But because their living unit had no furniture, it started out just trying to take care of their basic necessities. And because they were held there 3.5 to 4 years, at some point it was like, okay, we've made our furniture, let's see, something to beautify the barrack. And so part of it was just looking for ways to keep themselves entertained, keep themselves from going nuts. What they will find are objects made from found material and scrap, so indigenous things. And it runs the gamut from paintings, mostly watercolor paintings, wood carvings. There are a couple of objects in this show that belong to my family. One is a carved elephant on a globe, and that was done by my grandfather in camp. And then another one is the 1,000-stitch sash. The sash that we have in the show belonged to my uncle. The most common objects that were made were little wooden bird pins and shell pins. When I started doing the book, I decided that I did not want to have an airplane made from a kit. So, my criteria was that it had to be something made from scrap or found materials. And that really defines the show, that people made these things from things they found. There's a cane here made out of cactus. There's a train made from tin cans and file cabinet parts and watch dials and things like that. They were really inventive in what they made. After the war, they didn't see what they made as art, and so they didn't value them as anything more than, as they say, busy work. It was busy work. What I want people to come to the show and realize that the people who were put in camps were individuals, were human beings who had a sensitivity, and to think about what they created and where their interests were.
I think everyone has realized to brand your enemy by the way they look, the way they talk, and maybe the people that they associate with. And I will say for a fact that maybe not my generation, but the generation after is much more vocal about injustices and human rights and the mistakes that the government made and later admitted to. So I think that part is nice, and there's been a movement all over to let this not happen again.
It's obviously a personal story because, my family went through that. But I hope that as many Houstonians and Texans could come and view the exhibit at the Holocaust Museum, because there's such a positive message. Out of the darkest chapters in parts of her life, something just wonderful and beautiful can be created.
This just into our newsroom. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department says it's going to take another look at the death of Rebecca Zahau. She was found hanging from the balcony of the Spreckles mansion in 2011. At the time, her death was ruled a suicide, but earlier this month, a civil jury held her boyfriend's brother responsible. In a statement, Sheriff Bill Gore says the civil case included new analysis of existing evidence, so his department has agreed to a new review. He says it will be done by investigators with no prior involvement with the case. Gore says he expects the review will take 90 days. SpaceX and NASA are delaying the launch of a satellite that will search for new planets. The test satellite was supposed to launch today from Cape Canaveral. The launch is now set for Wednesday. The satellite will seek out planets that might harbor life beyond our solar system. In your home, a connected device may be a television or a kitchen appliance. On a dairy farm, the connected devices are cattle. Artificial intelligence is changing the way farmers track the health of their cows. AP reporter Carrie Antelfinger has the story.
The average number of cows on a big dairy farm is on the rise. So how do farmers know what's going on when they have 2,000 cows to watch over? The answer? Artificial intelligence.
It can pick up whether the cow is eating, whether it's ruminating, whether it's walking, whether it's drinking, whether it's laying down, standing up.
Richard Watson, a Georgia dairy farmer, is referring to technology called IDA, or Intelligent Dairy Farmer's Assistant, and it goes around a cow's neck.
Our cows are outdoors 365 days of the year, and so there's not the human contact, if you like, with the cows on a continuous basis throughout the day.
The device created by Connectera uses a Google platform called TensorFlow, which feeds data into a so-called neural network that recognizes patterns. It helps farmers identify cows that are sick, less productive, or ready for breeding.
It's really exciting for us because we personally never would have thought to utilize this in the dairy industry, but Luckily, people like Connectera were able to use that open source machine learning frameworks.
Seven Oaks Dairy in Waynesboro, Georgia, is one of the first to use the Connectera technology in the United States. A cow's health is important because farmers say a healthy cow produces more milk.
Just a 10% or 5% increase or improvement in productivity means hundreds of thousands of dollars to us, aside from the fact that we just want happier, healthier, more welfare in our animals anyway.
Another type of technology tells them when cows are about to give birth, allowing farmers to be present should there be complications. The moo-call calving sensor detects spinal contractions in the cow's tail.
That if a cow is calving, it'll shoot us a text and we can, come out here and check on it.
Mackinson Dairy Farm couples the technology with video cameras so they can see what's going on. But Mary Mackinson Faber says she doesn't see smart machines taking over.
There's certain tasks that it can help with and it can assist us, but I don't think it'll ever replace the human.
Technology to keep today's busy dairy farmer better connected to their cows. Carrie Antelfinger, Associated Press.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.